Let everybody who's joining us know that this is a webinar. So if you've never been in a webinar before, you'll find that you don't have access to your video and your microphone, so nothing is wrong on your end. During the open mic portion, we will give you permission to share your microphone and your video. So please do not worry. If you have any questions, feel free to use the chat function. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is David Hassler. I'm the director of the Wick Poetry Center, and welcome to Celebrating Our Own, an annual poetry reading celebrating our scholarship winners, and followed by an open mic tonight. I know that during these very difficult times, we are physically distant from one another, but I think through the poems tonight and through hearing our voices, we'll be emotionally connected and much more close. The student scholarship program for the Wick Poetry Center is the heartbeat of our center. And we are grateful for the many different scholarships that we can offer each year. We're going to be hearing from all of the winners tonight, which include winners for the Maggie Anderson Endowment Fund, supporting travel-related expenses for a student writer. Maggie Anderson, our founding director of the Wick Poetry Center, a beloved mentor and professor at Kent State University. This scholarship is an honor of how she grew our center beginning in the early 90s to what it is today. The Mage Reagan Scholarship is a new scholarship, and we're very grateful to the Reagan family for contributing to that scholarship, and we're still building the endowment for that scholarship. Another beloved professor and Mage passed away just a couple years ago. This is a scholarship in memory of his community building through poetry, the many years in Kent, and the winner will lead some community workshops and sponsor a reading at our local bookstore, the Last Exit Bookstore. The Thomas and Mimi Freeman Family Fund Endowed Scholarship is another new scholarship in memory of Tommy Freeman, a beloved Kent State student who was a scholarship winner himself and worked as an intern at the Wick Poetry Center. This scholarship, new again, thanks to the Freeman family and friends, is to help support a student who shares Tommy's love of nature, dedication to others, and a belief in the goodness of people. And of course, our ongoing Wick undergraduate student scholarships honor the memory of Stanley and Tom Wick, two cousins, sons of Bob and Walter Wick, who started the Wick Poetry Center and founded it in 1984 in memory of their sons, Stanley and Tom. And then, of course, the Honors College Scholarship, which is a scholarship supported by the Honors College to support a student poet. So I want to thank Carrie George, our Wick Graduate Fellow, for hosting tonight's reading. And I want to welcome all of the student scholarship winners to say, you've extended our Wick family of poets. Not only do you have this dollar scholarship that is financially important, but you are connected now in a way to our programming and to the life of poetry here in Kent and beyond. And so we appreciate all of you and welcome. Carrie?
Thank you so much, David. I'm really excited to be emceeing. Hold on a moment. Trying to get the view right. There we go. That should work. Hi. Okay. Thank you so much. So I'm going to be emceeing the event. My name is Carrie. So just to let everybody know how this is going to work, we're first going to hear from all of our scholarship winners. So I will announce the name of the scholarship and the name of the winner, and then they will each read. After that, we are going to have an open mic. We'll have limited time, so we're going to try to get to everybody or as many people as we can. So each person will have about 2 minutes to read. In the meantime, during the event, if you want to use the chat function to say that you liked a poem or you agreed with an author about something or just to build community, please use the chat. But please switch your little icon to all panelists and attendees. If you click the blue button, you'll be able to do that. So that way both panelists and attendees can read your words. Okay, without further ado, our first winner is Brittany Helmick for the Maggie Anderson Travel Scholarship. Brittany, go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me? Awesome. Okay. I wanted to start by thanking Maggie Anderson. And it, I mean, obviously means a lot, but everything that you've done for poetry is just phenomenal. So thank you, Maggie. And then I wanted to thank everybody that organized this reading, David, Carrie, especially. It's wonderful to not only be reading poetry, but also to be listening to poetry right now. And it's more important than ever to experience poetry. The Wick Poetry Center has done a fantastic job adapting to the changes, like the rest of the world because of COVID. And so it's just been phenomenal to see this all sort of come to fruition from the beginning. The Maggie Anderson Travel Scholarship is also more important than ever. Nobody goes into poetry for the money. And as most of you know, finding funding for an artist is often difficult, but especially for a traveling artist, right? It's difficult to just sort of make it day by day, but then when it's like, hey, I'd like to travel as a poet, then it's even more difficult. And I just wanted to share a quote from Ada Limon recently, who said that the job of a poet is to deeply notice. And I can't think of a better way to deeply notice anything than to immerse yourself in it fully. And so when it's safe, I plan to still attend the Port Townsend Writers Conference using the Maggie Anderson Travel Scholarship and immerse myself in writing for 1 week and just in another part of the world, which I think would be fantastic. For now, I will continue to deeply notice parts of my current surroundings, which seem to also include some fears thanks to COVID. But these fears relate to my thesis, so it's okay. It's okay to wonder what it means if you possibly turn into your mother. So without further ado, I'm going to read 2 poems, one from my application, and then one, my second poem, which is full of everything that I've just talked about. So here is Elegy with a Landslide. I was an old barn. I thought too often about who I wanted to let in, who I wanted to shut out. The body responds to worry by making the heart beat a little faster than it normally does. I once dreamt about fire and got too drunk on the idea that I could have been a pack of closed cigarettes, enjoying the slow ecstasy of certain death instead. I could have learned to admire the sun like a good poplar, but I know I would only have wanted it so that my old self and my new self wouldn't have to reconcile with being the same damn thing. Tell me, what good is leaving a voicemail if nobody is there to listen to it? Even as a girl, I kept one foot out the door. I was a white kitten, trying to outsmart evolution, but was forced down the mountainside by my own shadow. God, about that St. Helens ash my mother has, please take it back. She said that morning it was like you forgot to turn the lights on. Said there was nothing like opening that great big dark. Then my new poem is the sky this morning and the mountain below. Snow sleeps against the mountain just beyond the valley. My mother sits, watches from her window. It's a slow surprise, she says. How similar the mountain looks even after eruption, how it still looks like God. Sometimes at night, we forget the sun is rising elsewhere. But now, in the match strike between yellow, pink, and orange, she is ablaze again. What if grief is a woman wearing a snow-capped mountain around her neck? What if what I thought about my mother is actually what I thought about myself? What if my mother is a marmalade god and I, the mountain below? Thank you.
Wow, Brittany, thank you so much. That was truly wonderful. About your first poem, somebody, Patrick in the chat said, I prefer this elegy over the one on Netflix, which is quite funny. Lots of people, David pointed out, grief is a woman wearing a snow-capped mountain around her neck, which was also a lovely line. So remember, guys, to please send all of your thoughts into the chat, sending it to all panelists and attendees. Thank you so much, Brittany. That was wonderful. Our next reader is the winner of the Mage Reagan Poetry Scholarship, and her name is Kimberly Rivers. Go ahead, Kimberly.
Thank you. So I did not have a chance to know Mage Reagan, but I've heard so many wonderful things about him and so many inspiring things about the way he was able to connect people of the community together and hear voices and amplify voices. And so this scholarship here, what attracted and what excited me about it was the opportunity as the winner to lead some poetry workshops within the community, and which is pretty exciting to me. And so the essay that I submitted was about the value of poetry to a community, and I'd like to share a few thoughts from that. So I've really been just reading and writing poetry earnestly for about the past 5 years. And something that I discovered was that it creates this unique avenue for connection. And it really just feels like this gift because we share parts of ourselves with each other. So when a friend sends me a poem that they found, or they send me something that they wrote, I get this gift of insight into who they are and their willingness to share that with me. And, you know, so in a group like this, when we get to share as writers and poets, we get to be vulnerable. And I think when we're vulnerable, then we're more authentic and we speak from our truest selves. And I think for the listener, because we're all listeners, it often leads to a Me Too experience, or suddenly we don't feel alone. And I think that we meet new parts of ourselves as well. And so with all of this happening through poetry, ultimately the community benefits. And to me, that's pretty exciting. So I'd like to read one of the poems that I submitted. I submitted a packet for this scholarship. And the last couple of stanzas talk about the idea of connecting with each other by looking to nature as an example. Overseeing the neighborhood. The snow drops itself in great falling globs past my window, as if hoping I will look. I turn toward the panes to see the tiny black paws and sleek squirrel living beyond my view. Her skittering body springs through my backyard, and the snow crumbs on her tail scatter. How confined we are to the ground, never suddenly leaping to oversee the neighborhood. If we did, what new view we might have of the joined arms of the oaks, blind to the boundaries that we ask of the grass.
Thank you so much, Kimberly. That was beautiful. Oh, sorry about that. We have some people really loved the joined arms of the oak. That was a beautiful image. And glob is a good word. I agree, Patrick. So thank you so much for that. All right, so our next wonderful reader is going to be Mac Schaefer, and she is the winner of the Thomas and Mimi Freeman Family Endowed Scholarship. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I hope everyone's healthy and safe right now. My name is Mac. I'm the winner of the Thomas and Mimi Freeman Family Endowed Scholarship. It's a little difficult to articulate just how much of an honor it is to be the recipient of this award, let alone the first recipient of this award. And again, I'd like to thank Wick for hosting this event, and more importantly, the Freeman family for making this scholarship an opportunity that is possible for me. I recently had the opportunity to sit down with Ernest Freeman, who is Tommy Freeman's father. And I really got to learn a lot about Tommy's life and who he was as a person and what his life consisted of. And after sitting down with him and learning about his life, I saw some similarities in our characters and our personalities and our love for nature and the goodness of people. And essentially that is what I centered my submission around. But it really is an inexpressible honor to be the recipient of this award because someone saw qualities in my writing and in myself related to Tommy. And that is the highest honor of them all. So I would really love to thank them and thank them for this opportunity. And so my submission, I ended up submitting 5 poems as part of a little poem package. And like Tommy, I spent about 2 summers ago a really memorable hiking trip with my dad. We went out west for about 2 weeks and explored around there. And that trip was ultimately my gateway into my connection with nature and really introduced me into the majesty and beauty of it all. And so my submission kind of centers around just the majesty of nature and the magnitude of it all, and finding identity within it, which I think is something that is essential for human life. And so I'd like to read 2 poems from my submission. The first one is called Circles. Where does the sun start and stop? Where is the line between shape and shadow? Where the peaks of the mountains kiss the sky, gripping the clouds with their extended calloused fingers? When does an eagle's flight ascend and descend? Its wings the motor of the earth, slicing the air with each feathered thrust. When the roots of the sagebrush shoot through the desert crust. When the aroma of solitude has assimilated the air. Why do the stars wink and the hands of the Milky Way ripple a hello? Because the bison incessantly roam the hills and valleys, because twigs latch into their fur while they walk and they do not care. And how does the rain find the rivers and the rivers find the sandpaper tongues of each elk and wolf and bear? It is because nature exists in circles, because ends and beginnings do not lie on a desiccated straight path, because sky feeds earth and earth feeds sky, all while I draw swirls in the sand. My second one is titled To Be a Tornado. At the peak of the Badlands, you can see the entire world. I saw it in my hammock, rocking me gently like a baby in a cradle. Oh, how childlike we are in the real world, away from our institutions, detached from our commitments, separated from our watches and fancy-filled seconds. Time doesn't exist within the trees, or on Trout Lake, or on the branch where the last bald eagle pants. No, time exists for those who let it. Expectations exist for those who let them. 30 miles away on that day, from the plastic cocoon I entrust with my own fleshy swaddle, a Category 3 tornado shakes hands with the earth and dances across the face of an incessant expanse of South Dakota plains. I watch in awe, having never seen such a powerful force with my own 2 eyes. 6 months later, as I watch the news with my father, he says, "Wow, she needs some makeup, and wow, she looks terrible." If I can be anything in this world, I will be that tornado. That unstoppable gray, ugly gust can suck you up if you get too close. I won't wreak havoc, but I will be made of things not beautiful. I don't want to be beautiful. I want to be strong, not afraid of a superior, will come and go on my own accord and can't be told when or where, but looked upon as part of the cylindrical process of the earth's workings. I will be a replication of my origin, nothing more and nothing less. How can you say that? What exists for you exists for me. I realize we are equals with unequal expectations. Oh, to be a tornado, to have a world full of them, to rip everything up and start anew. Thank you again. The scholarship is necessary. Tommy's legacy is necessary, and it has brought so much inspiration. And having this a part of my life has been one of the most affirming and memorable achievements that I've ever had. And so I really would just like to thank everyone again. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mac. That was absolutely beautiful. Many people in the chat were touched. Joe said it's wings, the motor of the earth, so, so beautiful. Olivia said, Mac, your work always leaves me speechless. Also, River loves this poem. That's Olivia's cat. I'm sure we'll see her later. Thank you so much, Mac. That was the last of our named scholarship winners. So those were the 3 scholarships that were endowed by former Wick members who are still very much active in the community, at least some of them with their families. Thank you so much all for your reverence that you had to these people. It's very clear that these scholarships meant a lot to you, and they continue to mean a lot to the community. So thank you very much for that. We're now going to move on to the honors scholarship. So these are 3 scholarships awarded to our wonderful honors undergrads. And the 3rd place winner, I'd like to introduce Moira Armstrong.
Hi, I wanted to thank the WIC for putting this together, and I'm going to read the poem that I submitted for this. It's really fitting because this poem I wrote right after Kent shut down based on something one of my honors professors had been telling me right around when COVID started hitting the news about the Black Plague in way back in like the 1400s. She was telling me that the Virgin Mary was who people prayed to for protection from the plague and from healing. And we'd also been discussing how the moon was a symbol of the Virgin Mary. So this poem is about that. It's called Luna Malata, which means sick moon in Italian. We notice as soon as we step outside, the Virgin Mary is missing from the sky, tucked behind a cover of clouds like a Florentine fresco behind a gilded screen, waiting until the parishioners need her. Though tonight the Florentines, the New Yorkers, all the souls on earth likely need a horde of golden haloed Madonnas in glory more than toilet paper, more than any other saint or even Jesus himself. But she seems overwhelmed, unable to watch. She wasn't supposed to be the one tasked with saving us. We don't mind, though. We understand. And we weren't here to pray to her anyway. We heard you can pray directly to God these days, desperate times and everything. Though we wonder how much sway even God has over a molecular enemy, a perpetual Lazarus. And when the clouds open, we have to wonder, are these someone's tears or just raindrops? Are we damp with sadness or simply wishing the atmosphere could feel what we do, the weight of the apocalypse coming down? And still we couldn't find the moon.
Thank you so much. Let me switch the video. There we go. Thank you so much, Moira. We have lots of snaps for you tonight. I will definitely be looking at the moon differently tonight. Such a strong ending, so beautiful. Thank you so much. That was really lovely. Our next reader is the 2nd place winner of the Honors Scholarship, and I believe also her cat, Olivia Farina, or maybe not, I don't see her cat. Olivia.
Hi, yeah, she's on my lap right now. She seemed to drift away. That poem that Moira read just kind of put her in a state of peace, which is good, because she normally is very verbal. I wanted to take, my poem is rather short, so I wanted to just take a moment and just gush about Wick, not just the scholarship and what a wonderful opportunity that was for me, but just how wonderful Wick is, because Wick is just full of passionate people, and they're passionate about so many different things. Even though, you know, the Wick Poetry Center is a poetry center, it's a place that centers around poetry. It's also this place that centers around passion and people that are passionate. And it's wonderful knowing that after all of this sort of like disconnect from everyone, you know, this, you know, I'm seeing everyone through screens versus in person, that there's going to be this family, this Wick family, whether it's, you know, up to the very top of Wick to, you know, everyone that comes to events. It's a family. It's a large family. It's a connection, and it's absolutely wonderful. So this is my poem, Apricot. When the incisors flare and shoot pain through nerve endings and down the spine, splitting the head into two jagged pieces, separating love and hate, left and right cerebellum, and hypothalamus pitted, it makes me hope that this is worth it. For soft skin and sweet juices, the tangy taste is satisfying until I bite into the apricot pit. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was wonderful. I love apricots and writing about apricots. Again, we have so many snaps. Also, thank you for your wonderful words about Wick. Wick is a really beautiful place. We love the apricots. Yes, we do. All right, thank you so much. So our next reader is the first place winner of the Honor Scholarship. We have another Olivia. Olivia's must be great poets. Olivia Martin, again, the first place winner of the Honor Scholarship. Olivia, take it away.
Hi, I just wanted to start off by thanking everyone at the Wick Poetry Center for the scholarship and for the opportunity to read tonight. The poem I'm going to read is called All This Yellow Light. So, think happy like soft happy, the color yellow happy, yellow like eggs in the pan, eggs snapping, scrambling, happy like your mother's laugh, the too loud one, the laugh that is your laugh. All of her gestures are your gestures too. This happy, the one that tastes like butterscotch melting over your tongue, is preferable to the days of too much happy, because too much happy means eyes like burnout light bulbs and a voice that doesn't sound like yours. Too much happy reminds you of when your father would toss you in the air and you would feel like you were flying. To put it simply, too much happy is learning of flight without being able to distinguish between the rise and the fall. Too much happy feels like the moment when you see a penny glinting heads up on sunlit cement, like a week of good luck or a year, which is to say that too much happy makes you invincible, meaning you are a lightning strike, or more accurately, you are a roller coaster paused at the moment right before gravity takes over, which is all a complicated way to say that too much happy is akin to losing control of your own body, that too much happy leaves you raw and aching and open and without a hold on the emergency brake.
Thank you so much. That was incredible. Two wonderful Olivia poets in a row. Like butterscotch melting over your tongue, such a good line. We have wonderful with many exclamation marks. Amazing work. The images you used were beautiful. Thank you so much, Olivia. So we have 3 more scholarship winners left. One of them isn't here. I don't see Reagan Shell in the chat. So maybe if she makes a surprise appearance tonight, we will hear from her. But I do want to put her name out there. Reagan Shell was the winner of the 3rd place undergraduate scholarship, the undergraduate scholarship named for Stan and Tom Wick, who led to the creation of the Wick Poetry Center. So hopefully she might show up. If not, remember the name, Reagan Shell, 3rd place. We'll skip now to the 2nd place winner of the Stan and Tom undergraduate scholarship, Angelina DeFranco. Angelina DeFranco.
Hi. I just want to give a special thanks to the Wick Poetry Center and Dr. Jessica Jewell. I began my first semester here actually as dance major, and it was through my honors colloquium, my peers, and my experience with Jessica that I was kind of reintroduced to my passion and love for literary arts and poetry. And receiving the scholarship made me feel accepted within the poetry world and made me feel as though my voice is worth hearing. And it also assured my decision to pursue a double major with dance and English. And I'm forever thankful to the Wick Poetry Center and the plethora of opportunities that continue to be offered. I'm going to read 2 poems. The first is going to be my application poem. Shove and push a little. The lock on my bedroom door is broken. Shove and push a little. Bust in. Tittering, hearing stomp stomp. What's mine is yours, what's yours. Careful, don't reach recess. My paint, the open bin, infinitesimal feelers. When I smother my bed, shove and push a little. Bust in. Drool from the chin to smother me and taint veracity. Tittering, tittering, trick, what a trick. Shove and push a little, bust in. The second poem I'm going to read is my most recent poem that I wrote, and it's called Lobster. Lobster. I painted my walls red today. Mortality fondles the obstruction, stains the flesh sodden on clung enamel. It makes me retain reverberation of severed seams, for unhinged jaws regurgitate the fist, tangled in entrails. It makes me plunge the carapace in culpability to burden my rachis with double-dipped armor. Unchaste claws discipled penitentiary. Pudendum chases its tail, feasts on fragments of fidelity rouged. It makes me want to run. Thank you.
I'm muted. I'm so sorry. Thank you so much. I have a lot of stuff I'm doing back here. How do I? Sorry, just a moment. Okay. All right, I have a lot of tech that I have to do. I'm not a very techie person. I remember when you workshopped that poem with us in one of our Wickster, Isaiah, his community workshop, that lobster poem. So it was really great to hear that again. Thank you, Olivia. I'm trying to do great. So both of those poems were beautiful. And Shannon said, this is the first time I've heard you read, and that really struck me. You're awesome. Big voice, and you rock from Mac. All very, very nice. So we have one final scholarship reader tonight, assuming that we don't hear from Reagan. So this is the first place winner of the Stan and Tom Undergraduate Scholarship, and that's Katie Young. So take it away, Katie.
Hi, everyone. I'm so ecstatic that I was the recipient of this scholarship. It's something I've thought about at least once every day since I got the call. Also want to give a big thank you to the Wick Poetry Center. Wick calls themselves a home for poetry, and I always think about how fitting that is. It's not just a home, it's a family, and I'm so happy to be a part of that. I'm going to read my poem, Trichotillomania as a Wildfire. Trichotillomania, a disorder that involves recurrent, irresistible urges to pull out body hair. When the whole world looked into a mirror, he began to pull out his hair. He ignited the Amazon, and from there he plucked California and Australia. He took the hairs, leaving only the follicle. And I admit I cried when I saw the world was on fire, burning as a paralysis too familiar to my skin. At that time, Mom asked me if I had talked to my brother since Christmas. I said no. She wanted him to tell me about the woman who bathed herself with gasoline in his living room, how my brother flicked a flame from his forearm onto her skin. Mom was hopeful. She said there were few damages. Besides, few things can be broken in those kinds of fires. My mother taught my brother that the lowest octave stretched the furthest distance, and there is a pitch he can reach that can extinguish a country without any reinforcements. He tested his theory that night. Mom asked me if I could remember when I set fire to my eyelashes. I told her I didn't, but there were scars behind my eyelids. She asked me where I'd learned how to make matches from my fingertips, but I said it didn't matter. I put those fires out years ago. Mom asked me if the world was on fire and would I come home and help her to put the dishes back into the cupboard. I sent an emoji laughing, thankful the world around me was cold, thankful I was safe for now, but I wish that she would have cared that I learned from the world how to pull out my hair, that I didn't need gasoline to be in flames. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Katie. That was absolutely beautiful. What a great final scholarship reader poem. That was just so wonderful. We have a comment from the YouTube Live, actually. Congrats, first place undergraduate winner, Katie Young. We are very proud of your accomplishments. That's from Missy Habig. And then we have lots of other comments as well, so please check those out. So thank you all for our all of our scholarship winners for doing a great job reading your poems. We all so deeply enjoyed them. The next round of scholarships will open January 15th. I think they will run until April. All of these scholarships will be available. So the Maggie Anderson Travel Scholarship, the Mae Reagan Poetry Scholarship, the Thomas and Mimi Freeman Family Endowed Scholarship, as well as the 3 honor scholarships and the 3 undergrad scholarships. The honors and the undergrad are for undergrad only, but the 3 named scholarships can also go to grad students, as they did to Brittany. So keep an eye on those. We want to keep sending out those scholarships, getting lots of applications and expanding our WIC community. So thank you again, scholarship readers. Now we're going to switch to the open mic part of the night. The way we're going to do this, you should see, if you open your little participants tab, you should see a button that says raise hand. So if you would like to read, please raise your hand. And we will get to you in the order that I see you. You will be given a panelist permission, so you'll be able to share your video and microphone and read your poem. We're gonna have to wrap up around 9-ish, so we're gonna get through as many readers as possible. We wanna hear all of your voices, but please try to keep your reading to about 2 minutes so that we can hear as many people as possible. It looks like our first reader is going to be Patrick Moore. So you will be switched over momentarily.
Hello. Is it going? Awesome. Hi. I'm gonna read a poem that I should have submitted to a journal in the midst of COVID, but I didn't because I didn't think about it. But it's very much a poem about being stuck inside and COVID-19. So it's called Thump. Thump. I was eating cereal in front of a computer screen, and it felt like the most normal thing. The spoon gently dangled from my hand between my scoops. I didn't notice this. I was staring. I played a colorful video, bright like nostalgia. It was jagged and rigid, but so alive. I felt a family there in the colors. They winked and sighed and burst forth. They came to me like a blur. Their speed is like a current. It doesn't pull, I chase. My heart feels it near. Thump, thump, thump. So many people with mouths open and eyes slouching. We sit together in a circle, crossed legs, gaping at digits. Thump, thump, thump. We sigh in these wonderful, colorful strings, pull up smooth lines sitting in the center, yelling thump, thump, thump. So many brain stems floating in jars with wires sticking out, slotted into a USB. We talk like this is not a beautiful thing, but I find peace in the screen. Another world that I call home. It stays under my feet. It's like a red carpet covered with Cheeto dust and sweat and shame. How wonderful. Sometimes it pierces my eyes and lifts up my hood, but it never patches me up or gives a free oil change. The DSM-5 worries for me, like a text from my mother at 3 a.m. that says, "Please, dear God, get to sleep." But how do I sleep when the screen is my dreams? That's all.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Patrick. So We do, okay, we have some stuff in the comments. Some people liked your title. We have lots and lots of snapping. I felt a family in the colors. Great line, wonderful line. All right, our next reader is going to be Sylvia. Sylvia, you should be switched over in just a second.
Hello? Am I good now? Okay. Thank you. I would just like to thank everyone that's here, especially Carrie. I mean, you guys are so lucky to have her. She is so enthusiastic and talented. And I would also like to thank David, who is such a good custodian and like knowledgeable person for the memory of all these people that brought us here today. Also, I think that we're all like, poetry is important to me because it's just, it's the connection between unlike things that we're always after anyway. Hold on. Can you see my video now? Okay. Okay, but anyway, it's like this is what brings us all together. You know, this is important to us, you know. I'm gonna read a poem called, and it doesn't have like a word name, so it's called For Carly Thompson, which is SOS in what I knocked was SOS. The trees on the shoulder of the highway harbor leaves that dance in a wind that will take them, and so too you were taken by chance. I spy with a stained glass eye a far lace shadow cast by an indifferent, constant star onto uneven, pebbled black pavement through the branches, seen from the passenger side of the car. I watch the sun peek between placid cotton, grade school-like clouds, strobing wildly with life as we drive through the shadow, like save our souls, can we save ourselves? You answer in this desperate code, bumps in the road, tonal wind chimes sounding throughout the homes and hills, woodpeckers tap, raindrops fall and pool and still. You let yourself be known in what cannot be sung, in what my wheezing bagpipe lungs refuse and cannot capture, must less give you, just you, back to the world. But I still don't understand. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Sylvia, for your very kind words and your very cool poem. Many people love your title, which was really cool. And yeah, lots of other great stuff. The word placid is always the move. Yes. Sylvia, that was so cool in all caps. Thank you so much, Sylvia. It's always great to hear your work. I made a little mistake in the order of things, so I'm sorry about that, but we're gonna have Barb next. So sorry, Barb, I skipped you, but now is your time. You should be a panelist now, so you can unmute and share your video if you are able.
And do I unclick video?
Yeah, you can share your video. Mm-hmm.
Ah, there I am. Change view. Okay. Hello, everybody. This is a poem I wrote a few months ago about memories of being 13. Like a sharp clap of thunder, my mom's fast hand slapped hard across my face. My friend stood beside me as a silent, shaken little tree. I was on the shy side of teen. My heart sank through the floor right into the earth. My cheek burned like frostbite. Not long after, in a different dwelling, My stepmom charged into my room like a raging boar. She knocked me to the floor before I realized what was happening. My thin young adolescent screams were no match for the roar of my dad's mower. Later that day, I forgave her, looking into her empty face. Her eyes were stuck somewhere between evil and dead. My mom was an active volcano, my stepmom a sheet of black ice. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was great. I love throwing it back to Brittany, who was writing a poem about her mom and talked about the jar of Mount St. Helens ash. So that was a cool little parallel with the volcano. Some people in the chat saying so vivid. The black ice line was fantastic. Such a powerful portrayal of your relationship with your mom. So thank you so much, Barb.
Thank you.
Okay, you guys can continue raising your hands and volunteering to sign up. We still have plenty of time, so I don't want to discourage anybody from reading. So as you hear people reading, if you feel encouraged, go ahead and throw your hand up and we'll get to you. Our next reader is going to be RC. So you should be able to share your audio now.
I just lost my room light, so hopefully you can see me. First of all, I wanted to say that I've been kind of around Kent poetry in an off-campus sort of way for almost 50 years, and have seen a lot of people come and go. But I started long before Wick, and I'm always impressed with the enthusiasm and people Wick brings in. This was a great reading, a great crop of readers, and I want to congratulate everybody that got a scholarship. My poem is called Waves of Empathy. When my sister fell and broke her arm in a park near Detroit, my arm hurt in Kent, and I remembered when she fell as a girl, ice skating on the rough surface of Weber Avenue in Akron, breaking the same arm. How that scene played out over and over in my childish mind, where I tried to undo, make her fall more softly. When my aunt fell alone in her condo, and I could not get up for days, and she could not get up for days, she recited poems from memory as dehydration progressively altered her state. My daughter, a student in Germany, woke up worrying, wondering, was my aunt all right? We can't help but feel each other's pain across barriers of time and space, age and race. If you kneel on my neck, someone will feel it, as sure as feeling some crucifixion long before birth, long after death. We are part of a whole. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was wonderful. I love this comment from Megan. Love the depth of sound that comes from life experience. It's a really insightful comment. And we have such great titles this evening. I feel really embarrassed about all of the titles I'm writing now. So thank you all for your great poems. The next reader we have is Tiff. Tiff, you should be a panelist now.
Okay. My husband died 2 years ago, and I haven't written anything since. And something finally came to me. I'd been wearing his wedding ring, and I stopped because I realized it probably wasn't a good idea during the pandemic. So, accessorizing during the pandemic. We stopped wearing jewelry during the plague, At first, we wiped down everything that came in from outside our homes, grocery bags, internet delivery boxes, ourselves. We'd strip at the door and hurry to the shower, our hands freshly purelled, held out in front of us as if we were freshly scrubbed surgeons. We got in the shower and we scrubbed. We Lysoled our used clothing before throwing it in with extra sanitizer to the wash. That was before we knew the lifespan of the virus on fomites, soft fragments, fabrics, was only minutes. Generally, certainly not the days and weeks we feared, which is how long it can last on metal. So we stopped wearing our wedding rings, lest some microscopic particle make us sick, kill us, or our loves. We did think there may be a baby boom with the quarantine. People locked up together 24 hours for days, then months, but the children already born were already always home, nervous, needy. We stopped wearing rings in our ears, held in place by what were once open wounds. Earrings tangled in our mask strings anyway. Our holes closed. Instead of a boom, as from war or a citywide power outage, there was a baby blight. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was amazing. I have in the chat some insider information from Alice Cohn that Tiff was an earlier Wick Poetry Scholarship winner. So thank you so much for being with us and sharing your poem. It's great to see, you know, beyond just this year's scholarship winners. Really powerful ending. The children already born, love that line. I love that line too. Thank you. Great. I think we have another reader as a panelist now. Anya, are you there? Yes, Anya should be good to go whenever you're ready, Anya.
Okay, cool. I see myself. All right, I guess I'll just get right into it. So I'm going to do something a little bit new. I'm going to read a poem that's newer, and I think I'm still kind of workshopping it a little bit. I sometimes get nervous to do that, but trying to get out of my comfort zone. So this is called I'm Not Going to Write a Breakup Poem. I'm not going to write that I haven't slept right one night since it ended. I'm not going to say that I haven't felt beautiful since I stopped feeling like I was beautiful to him. I'm not going to dissect why I feel so ashamed for falling in love so fast just to get hurt on the same timetable. I'm not going to bother mentioning how I still can't reconcile his hand, at times warm and soft against my cheek, with the hand that left red marks on my skin, or wonder whether the shivers I felt down my spine the first time he whispered in my ear vibrated at the same frequency as the shivers that seized my muscles the first time he scared me speechless. Or cry over the pain I felt looking at his face right before it ended because I couldn't help but think, look at how handsome he is still. I'm not going to bother with words over the whole ordeal at all because for months words failed me and had left me here, brow furrowed in confusion and neck aching from whiplash. Is this love? No, I won't write any of that because I know better than to let feelings be more powerful than me. I don't have feelings on the matter anymore, and I don't have him. And I'll be just fine. I'm just fine. Thank you.
Thank you, Anya. We have lots of great response in the chat. I know better than to let the feelings be more powerful than me. The shivers that seized my muscles. Just lots of snaps throughout. We're going to hear Brittany. Is that a hand that you want to join the open mic? I can't see you if you're nodding or not.
Yeah, if that's okay. It's been so wonderful hearing everybody read that I selfishly don't want it to end.
No, that's absolutely okay. So we will hear from you, which I'm so excited to hear from you again. Go ahead.
It's so good to see you. Okay, I have, by the way, my cat Trouble came over here literally just to hear poetry. Like she was not around me all day. And then as soon as this started, Trouble was here. Okay, I have one more poem that I would like to share. It's called Elegy with Anything That Wears Its Offspring Like an Ornamental Shawl. All right. Wolf Spider, it wasn't that I didn't expect you. It was that I didn't expect you then. In the dim basement, as I bent over the dryer to retrieve the laundry, hot static, webbing it to my hands. I thought perhaps you had fluttered down from nowhere, like some sort of lost moth. But I could find no silk web blown accidentally toward me, just your dissatisfaction about being ignored. How long were you hiding in this light? You had to know what was coming. I smashed you, watched your legs curl into your body, the wood on a pencil as it shaved into itself, a ribbon being dragged between blade and thumb. When I pulled my hand away, your babies scrambled off your back like smart little crickets under the whites of my eyes. I've heard for every spider a person sees, there's at least a dozen more, unseen. The odds of finding them, 1,000,000 to 1. Could I have made room for us both? I know I shouldn't have killed you, but I can't trust anything that wears its offspring like an ornamental shawl. You should understand more than anyone. I was afraid that if I stayed backed into this corner tight enough, it would start to feel like a hug. If I had to keep track of every spider I've ever killed, I'd rub my fingers over each one, praying. I'd wear their bodies as a rosary. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brittany. I think I was lucky enough to hear an earlier version of that poem, and I still love it. I smashed you. My, what an image. That is an image, smashing a wolf spider. That's a mess. Could I have made room for us both as another highlight. Yeah, just a great poem, lots of great images. Thank you, Brittany. I think next we are going to have Fred P., who should be a panelist now. So Fred, you can go ahead and unmute and turn on your video and share your poem.
Hi there. I'm reading a poem called Emergent Being. From Ganoon Gap, creation sprang forth fully formed. You can't probe the void without meditation. Quantum foam overflows 0-point energy. Before cause, there was nothing. In the world beyond, the Maori Te Kore precedes all non-being and being. Welcome to the realm of unlimited potential. Nothing grows ideas like chaos, who spawns gods out of empty space. Deities emerge from the fundamental math of a universe counted by caring. Vast, wise beings want us all to succeed. When asked how to master the universe, they reply, "Love is who I want to be." Love's peculiar entanglement renders distance illusion, attracts stars with benign gravity. Be the glue of creation, mend the world with your kindness, because love connects us all.
Thank you so much. What an ending. A really wonderful ending, a beautiful ending. That was so lovely. Attract stars with benign gravity, beautiful. Yes, that was absolutely beautiful. Spawning gods out of empty space, just a really incredible poem. Thank you for sharing. So we have a couple more people raising their hands, which is awesome. I love to see that. Keep it coming if you feel so motivated. I think Ben is next, if I can find him. Benjamin.
I'm here.
There you are. Okay. Thank you. Take it away.
Okay. Thanks, Carrie. Thanks everybody who's reading tonight. Oh, let me get away from Zoom so I cannot see myself. Also shout out Brittany. Hi, haven't seen you in so long. I love you. Your poems were so good. They hit me in a way that poems haven't hit me in a long time. I'm gonna read a poem now. It's this poem is called Dr. Pepper, Popcorn, and M&Ms. Me and all my friends are sitting in the bed of my truck, and that makes 6 of us. The tail of the red Ford F-150 is pointed like the tails of Honda Civics and Mazda hatchbacks towards a 50-foot tall stretch of off-white fabric. It's probably bigger than 50 feet, but I'm not that great at guessing measurements larger than my hand. 6 inches, tip of middle finger to palm bottom. I know because I measured it once in middle school and thought, is this what the boys are doing with their penises on the other side of the weighted gray fabric sheet that they lower electronically down the center line of the gym to divide the only 2 sexes from each other? On the screen that all the cars are pointed towards, Johnny Depp sports a crop top and his girlfriend cries hysterically. There's a man in a sweater too. It doesn't really matter what's happening. Earlier, we watched a clown operate a dead man's body like a puppet. Its hand we're supposed to infer from the bloody pull away up his ass. This is probably homophobic. Here I vaguely reference anti-sodomy laws and Ryan Murphy. With a hand exactly 6 inches long, I know my tacked up poster of water lilies is 16 by 38 without a tape measure, and I know if I put the soft part of my wrist at the apex of my pelvis and point my fingers toward the wall opposite, I can have a vague sense of how far out my erection would stick if God had figured to grant me that particular blessing. But instead, I'm grateful that my insurance will cover the surgery to flatten my chest. To the right of the truck bed is a railroad track, and to the left is a highway, both of them slanting towards each other so that they should meet somewhere, except the highway is up on a hill and the railroad track cuts underneath it. But even this is only my best estimate because I can't see what's behind the screen. Thank you.
Benjamin, thank you so much. I know this isn't the point of the poem, but I feel very lucky to have been one of the 6 people in the truck bed in the beginning of the poem. Thank you. Brittany says, oof, Benjamin, this is a punch in the gut in the absolute best way. I loved the anger in the line, the only 2 sexes, I'm paraphrasing. Love the return to what's behind the screen, so, so powerful. Thank you so much, Benjamin, that was wonderful. I think next we have Vendrix, who should be a panelist now. So Vendrix, you can go ahead and unmute and share your video.
Can you guys hear me and see me correctly? Splendid. So I needed something to read. So I wrote something when 2 people ago were speaking. So it's very fresh, but it's from my mind. It literally has no title because I literally could not fit it on literally the page. As you can see, I literally just wrote this. But here it goes. My being is unknown to you, but yet you think you know me. I am not he, she, or even they. I wouldn't be lucky anyway. I have no color, yet you gave me a shade. You people fear me, but you don't even know me. You tried to kill me with books and words, yet I'm more natural than those things. You feel fear around me when light is synthetic. I am peace. I am happiness. But I know when you die, you're at peace with me. I am not death, nor am I life, though all creation comes for me. I watch you now and forever in all of time. I am darkness, your old friend. Now that I told you my feelings, will you be my friend again? Thank you.
Thank you so much. I cannot imagine writing a poem and then sharing it right away and having it be so beautiful right off the page. So thank you so much. That was incredible. People in the chat are saying so powerful. Thank you, Vendrix. You are peace. Just lots of great stuff in there. Thank you so much. I think we had one more reader, Sarah. So Sarah, you're a panelist now. You should be able to share your video. In the meantime, oh, we have another person raising their hand. So you're not last, Sarah, but we're excited to hear you. take it
Hi.
away.
It's been,
Oh, Sarah, hi.
Hi. It's been a long time since I've seen anyone in the program or anyone, period, really. So this very short 2-stanza thing that I have is, it was originally an imitation exercise that I wrote for Varley O'Connor's class two spring semesters ago. And I decided that maybe it could be like a flash fiction piece. And then as I was reading it, I thought, no, I think this might be a poem. Did I write a poem and not know it? So I tried putting it in stanzas, and here it is. It's just called I Couldn't. It was an imitation of a Stuart Dybek short story called We Didn't. So I couldn't in the morning, I couldn't in the night. I couldn't on the sun-dappled lake, or between the empty rows of theater seats, or on the 4th of July when the bright distant explosions would have deadened my voice. I couldn't at your family's cabin under the redwood trees you had played among with your brothers as a child, or in the moonlight of my great-aunt's crumbling courtyard, which smelled of the gardenias and jasmines she cut in the autumn for my grandmother Colette. I couldn't in your father's den, where his trophies glowed in the fireplace light like tiny golden sentries with stern, vigilant gazes. In the final days of our favorite meeting place, a moss-blanketed hollow now lost to townhomes and weekend shoppers, where I imagined the charms of the natural world were ours to keep, above the diving and dipping streets around the Seattle Space Needle, where you first enchanted me with the poetry of Longfellow and Emerson, and your eyes bright against your deep tan were the epitome of enthusiasm. In the stillness of the cemetery, as I wiped salty tears from my pale cheeks and smeared them over your casket and whispered, I should have told you the truth. I couldn't.
Yay. Thank you so much. I love the sort of surprise and maybe horror of just realizing that you've written a poem. Sometimes we can't control these things. And some other people had similar feelings. Brittany snaps into oblivion. Oof, that ending. Yes, it was a great ending. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
It looks like we have Fred again, which is a lovely return. If I can find him. There he is. Okay, take it away.
Hi again. I'm reading a poem about Gesar of Ling. And in the Tibetan Buddhism, they draw from an earlier tradition called Bon. And in the Bon legends, there's a famous figure called Gesar of Ling, who was the king of Tibet. And this story is about the early days of Gesar and his life. So it's called Gesar's Story. Bon practitioners of Tibet relate epic stories. Ling Gesar taught himself how to ride. He outraced the wind and won every game on his steed known as Kyengo Perpo. The wind horse of compassion taught Gesar equine language. Jump high, noble stallion, Gesar shouted. Gesar shot an arrow while they leaped at full speed, pierced a walnut right through the middle. His skills came in handy when a contest was announced, a horse race for succession. Gesar won the race, but terrible creatures arose, born of trauma, desire, and revenge. To subdue Tibet's demons, Gesar had to be fearless, strategic, wise, and methodical. He foresaw his success in a triumphant vision. Space-time is an infinite network. He saw galaxies spin, beings radiate light, bodhisattvas in every direction, endless healing transmissions of the vast Buddha field that's pervasive throughout time and space. Gesar rode his white horse to rescue his mother from illusions that brought her disaster. He brought her compassion, the mother of all. Buddha's love is the conscious foundation. On Garuda he flew when Gesar mounted heaven on a flight path from justice to peace. He gleaned heavenly herbs for his people and tribe, immortal nectar from another dimension. Soul extends beyond mortality. And that's the end of it. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
I love this poetry community. It's so wonderful.
Yes, thank you for being a part of it. It is such a great community. I should say that something I just now noticed, when you've become a panelist and you switch back to an attendee, you have to also switch your chat function so it sends to all panelists and attendees. So I've seen a lot of messages that are unfortunately only coming to panelists, which means attendees won't be able to see them. So just keep that in mind as you are using the chat box. But Fred, lots of great lines. Soul extends beyond mortality. I love me some Buddhist poetry. That's from Benjamin. So thank you so much. We are going to have 2 more readers, and then we're going to have to cap it at that. So we're going to hear from Vendrix again first, and then we'll hear from Barb, and she will be our final poet of the evening. I'll thank everybody again later, but I'll say a quick thank you now as well. So Vendrix, whenever you are ready.
Oh, thank you. I just wrote another one. Okay, so yes, it's freshly written. Okay, when the people cry, are they high or full off of the fried fry? We eat and eat, yeah, we cry when we can't. Don't you think the dead wish to eat as they rot and decay and wither away? When the people cry, they cry for no reason, only if those people's feelings were here for a season. When they cry, and boy, they cry, I turn a blind eye because they cry over the fried fry. And basically, I wrote this poem because the amount of people that were complaining about not being able to eat at restaurants because of the coronavirus. And I was just thinking, like, there are so many people in the world that wish to eat fried fries, well, French fries, but French fries don't sound that good in a poem. So I was like, wow, it's like every time, like, just imagine like the ability to even fry food. Like, that is just amazing how, like, we live in a place where we actually can do that, and yet people are so mad they can't even do it, and they can't sit down and eat fried fries. It just wow, just.
I agree with you. I think that was great. I think French fry would sound good in a poem, but I do like fried fries. I think that has a really great sound. A line that I loved, don't you think the dead wish to eat? That was really stunning. Yeah, thank you so much. Really strong message, Vendrix. That's from Joe. So we're gonna have our final reader of the evening. We're hearing from Barb again. Whenever you're ready.
Hi. So the Buddhist poetry was inspiring me to share this. My meditation teacher was encouraging us to pay attention to what's happening and then watch what's happening to what's happening. So this is my attempt at doing that one Saturday morning. This is called Saturday Morning Ramble. Oh, my meditation teacher's name is Paul. Watch what's happening, Paul says. Then when you've got that down, watch what's happening to what's happening. Sunlight is shining on the chair. That's what's happening. Moment by moment, the light slides down the chair. That's what's happening to what's happening. What's happening now? Thoughts about the chore at hand. Black mold on the outside walls of the house. I dread this job. It is hot. It is humid. The more I delay, the worse it will be. I know this. Stepping out of the house, I see bees falling all over each other, ecstatic from the taste of magnolia flower nectar. A zebra longwing flutters by. The thoughts about the chore at hand disappeared. That's what happened to what was happening. What's happening now? Clearing the access to the walls, trimming jasmine, separating rose from non-rose vines. Then the walls, one section at a time. Hose, spray, rub, rinse, repeat, repeat, repeat. Done. My brain says there is more to do out here. My body says it's time to go inside. What happened to what was happening? What was happening came to an end.
Yay, thank you so much. It feels to me like a great way to end our reading, right? like a great little circle. Thank you. Yeah, we have lots of people agreeing with me. Oh, this was a perfect ending. A lot of warmth and depth in your words. I agree with that. You can really feel it exuding. And also many people love your harp behind you. So thank you all so much. I know if you're anything like me, you can sit here and listen to poetry all night, but you know, finals are around the corner and I'm sure we all have other work to do. So thank you to our scholarship winners again for your wonderful readings. Thank you to everyone who participated in our open mic. I'd like to remind everybody that scholarships open again January 15th. There's information on that on the Wick Poetry Center's website, which is wickpoetry@kent.edu, I think. Also on our Facebook, our social media will be posting there as well. You will be able to find all of that information. Also, remember to submit to the 2 literary magazines at Kent. Brainchild is for any honor students. Luna Negra is open to anyone in the Kent community. So please look up those wonderful publications and send your work to them. Everybody who read tonight should submit by all means, because you were all just so lovely and your words were so powerful and poignant. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us this evening. And we hope to see you at our virtual events next semester, and hopefully soon at some point we will be able to spend time in person. Thank you all.